All right, I think we're going. We're live. Good evening. Welcome in. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get started shortly as soon as we have enough people here to get it rolling. And we plan to be done around 7:45. For those of you who are here now, you're welcome to get active in the chat and share your name and where you're joining us from while we give it a second to get everyone with us. Wow, a lot of people joining us here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking time on your Thursday evening. As you're coming in, if you didn't hear me say to please, if you're willing, share your name and where you're joining us from in the chat. We have people coming from all over. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Okay, I think we've got enough people to get rolling. Good evening. My name is Kathy King, and I'm the Director of Climate Education and Leadership at the Community Environmental Council, and I am your host for the evening. This virtual meeting is taking place in what's known as California, home to nearly 200 tribal nations. We acknowledge and honor the original inhabitants of our many regions. And we got a little housekeeping for you. In case you want to rewatch or share out, this webinar is being recorded. Everyone who is registered will receive a link to the recording and other resources in a follow-up email in the next few days. Our webinars are made even more valuable by your participation. We invite you to add questions to the Q&A that we will answer either in writing or during our Q&A round later tonight. You're also encouraged to use the chat to comment, share ideas, inspiration, links, gratitude, whatever's coming up for you. We'd love to hear more about you and how you are already taking climate action. So please answer the poll that will pop up on your screen shortly. The poll is anonymous, and we use it to better understand our audience's needs and interests so we can better serve you. Whenever you're ready, Nicole, for the poll. We'll give you a moment to fill it out. And as we tabulate the results, we are going to share a video about our program.
Every day we see around us signs of climate chaos, environmental loss and destruction. As an individual, it can be hard to know how to help and where to start. The Community Environmental Council has a plan. Together with the University of California, we're training everyday people of all ages and backgrounds to help the planet. Climate stewards get the tools they need to become environmental change makers in their own neighborhoods and communities, creating a groundswell of climate action that ripples in bigger and bigger waves across the Central Coast. In addition, CEC hosts public events and online trainings that spark more than 30,000 people a year to make a difference in their homes, schools, and businesses. To change everything, we need everyone. Are you in? Join us at CECSB.org to end climate chaos now.
All right, thank you to Jeff Bridges for his participation in helping us with that video. And now I think we're going to look at the poll results and see what you all said. So about half of you are not familiar with the Climate Stewards program, so you are in the right place, and the other half are somewhat familiar. You're also in the right place. And some of you plan to take the course, and maybe, so hopefully what we're talking about tonight will help you decide. So tonight we are talking about CEC's Climate Stewards program, and we believe that this is a critical program toward achieving our goal of advancing climate leadership on the Central Coast. So let's start hearing about the program. Great, thank you. The Climate Stewards program was created by the UC Office of Agriculture and Natural Resources in 2019. If you've heard of the California Naturalist program, it is a similar program to that. It's another certification program run by UC ANR, and it's for adults who are interested in getting involved in protecting nature and climate. CEC got involved when our CEO was at the Bioneers Conference in 2019 and met the course organizers. So she got us in on the ground floor. I took the instructor training in 2020 as part of the first cohort of instructors. And we offered our first course in 2021. And we just earlier this month wrapped up our 8th cohort. So we've come a long way in just a short time. This class is intended for adults and is scheduled around business hours. So our class sessions are on Zoom on Wednesday evenings, and our field trips are on the weekends. For the past few years, we've been looking for a way to work with youth, and the Climate Stewards program has provided a template for us to do just that. We're not able to certify anyone under 18 through the Climate Stewards program as of yet, but we are able to use the curriculum that we use in Climate Stewards classes, and we did a little CEC certification. This is some of our participants from a youth workshop that we did on October 28th. It was the first of its kind, and we do plan to do more. And in that workshop, we focused on topics that are straight from the Climate Stewards curriculum, including managing eco-anxiety or climate grief, effective climate communication strategies, and sustainable behavior change. Our next youth workshop is already scheduled for March 2nd. This is new information, not public yet. So if you have any 7th to 12th graders in your life that you think might be interested, kind of save that date, and we're going to open registration in January. And that workshop will focus on the intersection between climate and art. Now we're going to hear, if we're ready, we're going to hear from some of our alumni in another video.
Hi, my name is Patty Winans.
My name is Angela.
My name is Mel.
And my name is Serena.
My name is Das Richardson.
My name is Noah.
My name is Greg Odero.
And I took the CEC's UC Climate Stewards course. I really care for our future and for the environment, and if we care, we need to do more, and I just want to learn how I can do more.
And I recommend this course because I think anyone could benefit from a kind of guided connection to the land.
I recommend the UC Climate Stewards course because it gives you an introduction to understanding our impact on the spaces that surround us.
This course has taught me how to communicate with people about climate change, and it's given me the knowledge of the science behind it so I can feel more confident when I'm talking to people about it.
It's a great course to get to know other people and local organizations and learn more about climate leadership.
There's really just such good conversation that's been fostered in this course because the people in the cohort come from such diverse backgrounds.
Climate stewardship can't happen without building relationships with community. I appreciate that this program is community-based.
They give you lots of tools, encourage you, you find a group that you can unite with, you can emote with, and feel inspired to do more. And it's just a great resource that I think should be available to everyone in the United States.
It's been a lot of fun. I have made new friends. The coursework is wonderful. I'm learning a lot, and I hope to make a difference.
Okay, well, it was fun to see some of those familiar faces again. Yes, thank you for enabling my video again. Thank you. There I am. I'm back. I want to make a quick note that the next cohort starts January 31st. That video had our previous date on it. And also I want to note that they have since dropped UC from the name of the course. When originally started, it was called UC Climate Stewards, so sometimes you will still hear it that way, but UC was actually dropped from the course name earlier this year because it has moved beyond California. There are other states that are offering it now, and even other countries that are interested, so it is growing really fast. Here on your screen now are the 5 truths of climate change as covered in the class. It's real, it's us, experts agree, it's bad, there's hope. That's a core principle of the class. This is a problem that can be solved. And the more of us who are working on solutions and talking about those solutions, the faster we will get there. And this class is really helping us get there. If you want to go to the next slide, we can share some numbers. In 3 short years, there have been 625 Climate Stewards certified, and 135 of those are from the CEC program. We're super proud of that. And part of the reason for that is we are currently the only Central Coast partner. So we are covering a wide region, and we've had participants from San Luis Obispo. I saw that somebody joined from there, so thanks for coming, and all the way to San Diego. And our cohorts are communities of practice. The simple definition for this is a group of people who share a common concern or passion for something they do, and they learn how to do it better as they interact regularly. And a deeper definition used in the class for community of practice is that it requires a shared domain, a community, and a practice. Climate Stewards fosters this community of practice with the shared domain being community climate resilience, the community consisting of all those associated with climate stewards, and the practice centered on an inclusive climate stewards approach to climate literacy, climate communications, and community resilience. In this sense, resilience refers to the ability of a community to survive disruption and to anticipate, adapt, and flourish in the face of change. Our cohorts are great groups of people who become these communities of practice, growing and learning together. These are photos from some of our field trips. We recently went to the Ojai Meadows open space managed by the Ojai Valley Land Conservancy. 2 of our alumni were involved there and introduced us to that beautiful place. So we really grow our field trips through our participants. Other photos here from a beach cleanup that we did with Explore Ecology. One participant brought her son. He wasn't in the class, but we were glad to have him there. A trip to Lotus Land, that's Emiliano there checking out a flower. And then the group underneath that is at the Lemon Arbor at Lotus Land. And pictured there is Ilan, who will be joining us shortly. And the photo in the bottom in the middle is Jasmine, who will also be joining us shortly. And then the other photo at the beach is when we went to the UCSB Marine Science Institute, where they're doing dune restoration there where we were standing. And then we also had Santa Barbara Channel Keeper come and talk to us about the marine protected area that's there. So we have a lot of really fun field trips. They connect us with each other. We get out into nature because we protect what we love. Right? So getting out in nature for anyone can be really healing and inspiring and bring us together. So I am really excited now to move on to our next segment, which is talking with some of our esteemed alumni. We're going to be speaking with Noemi Hernandez, Alyssa Millar, Ilan McAdam-Somer, and Jasmine Tupi. So we are going to get started with our panelists now. Welcome on in. And the first question that we're all going to answer is what drew you to the Climate Stewards class? And I think I'll start. Ilan, you have your camera off, so I'll tag you first. Go ahead. What drew you to the class, Ilan?
Sure. So, hi, everyone. I wanted to get more involved with the local community. That was the main motivation. And when I saw the Climate Stewards course kind of come across my email chain, because I'd done some work with you guys in the past, I saw there's a heavy emphasis on communication and community engagement. And I also saw a lot on the psychological components of climate change, like anxiety, anger, depression, frustration. And I got my master's in environmental science and management at the UCSB Bren School, and none of that was covered during my grad program. So between the communication elements, the community engagement, and then the psychological components, I was just excited to check it out and kind of get a good refresher.
Thanks. That's great. And you bring up a good point that this class really does have a strong focus on social sciences, which I think sets it apart, that we do talk about psychology and sociology, you know, around climate change and the communications piece, right? We do a lot with that. Alyssa, how about you? What drew you to the class?
Yeah, so I heard about the class through my fellowship with the California Climate Action Corps. So with that, my job, I work at the Food Bank of Santa Barbara County, and my job there is to support their climate-related efforts, particularly through the Backyard Bounty Program, which is an edible food recovery program. And so I just wanted to learn more about communicating climate change. I wanted to brush up on my climate science knowledge a little bit, and also break into sort of like a network of people doing similar work in our area, all so that I can do my job the best I can.
Wonderful. Can you talk a little bit more about the California Climate Action Corps and how did they guide you toward the course?
Yeah, so the California Climate Action Corps is a branch of AmeriCorps. They have over 300 fellows throughout California working at different nonprofits, local government agencies, schools, that kind of thing. And each fellow's job is just to support that place's climate-related work. It can be through food recovery, like I'm doing, urban greening, or wildfire resiliency. And they encourage all of the fellows to take the Climate Stewards course one way or another, just to prepare us for that work.
That's great to hear, and we'll dig into that a little bit more as we go. Jasmine, how about you? What drew you to the class?
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Jasmine. I live in Santa Barbara, and I have 4 main reasons why I wanted to take the class. So first off, I'm a huge advocate for continued education. So when I saw that there was a local opportunity to learn more about climate change and how it affects us specifically, I was on board. Secondly, for my job, I work as the operations manager for Heal the Ocean. And if you're not familiar with Heal the Ocean, it's a local ocean conservation nonprofit based right here in Santa Barbara. So working closely with the local community for my job, I thought this course could aid in the work I do and kind of, as Alyssa mentioned, connect me more with the community here. And lastly, I have a degree in communication and art. And so therefore I wanted to increase my knowledge more on the environmental, the scientific side, and learn more specifics about that and our specific impact in our community.
All right, thank you, and congratulations to Heal the Ocean. It's a big week there this week with a big awards to help keep our oceans cleaner. So
yeah, thank you.
Congrats on that. Noemi, how about you?
Hi, everyone. My name is Noemi, and I was really what really drew me to this class was, well, first off, just like my personal beliefs with climate action. I, try to do my part to be sustainable and just find different ways to work together to reduce the impacts of climate change. So besides my personal connection, I oversee the Backyard Bounty program for the Food Bank of Santa Barbara County. So similar to Alyssa, I just think that those two, like my personal beliefs combined with the work that we do, just seem like a great way to, brush up on our skills about climate change, find that confidence to speak more about it and to educate our local community. And yeah, I'm really excited to put into fruition the education that I was taught in this class.
Could use the word fruition. Has fruit in it. That's what the Backyard Bounty
There
program.
you go.
And great to hear that from you. Thanks, Noemi. So we'll go to our next question, which is, what did you get out of the class? And we'll mix up the order here a little bit and start with you, Alyssa. So what you all outlined your expectations and how were those met?
Yeah, they were met very wonderfully. I mean, I think one of the most impactful things I got was a change of perspective on climate change communication. I just graduated from UCSB, so I'm very used to talking and learning about climate change in an academic setting. But I knew that for my role at the food bank, I wanted to be able to have conversations about climate change that were approachable and clear and compassionate. And this class gave me the tools to talk about climate change with, on one hand, people that, are not familiar with climate change in a academic or practical sense. And then on the other hand, with people who are very familiar with climate change and have like sensitive personal experiences with climate change. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful for that.
Thank you. Great to hear. And also what you bring up, and maybe others will talk about this as well, is that trauma aware education that we get in the class about making sure that we are communicating in a way that doesn't trigger people, because, now that climate change is upon us, we know that a lot of people have had experiences and might be sensitive. So I think it's a really key point that you made about the class really helping guide us toward how to do that type of communication. I'm going to go in a little different order each time. So Jasmine, how about you? What did you get out of it?
Great. Yeah. So my favorite part of the course was the intersectionality, which has been mentioned. So it's not just going over the science, but also the community engagement communication side of it. I thought made it a very successful course. It did a good job of educating the cohort about environmental science, but then how do you actually connect that with the community? So as a communication nerd, I love learning more about how to bridge the gap between scientists and climate experts and who use this jargon, and how people who might not have as much knowledge or access to understanding this climate information, now you're able to be that bridge and translate it and spread the word. So I strongly believe that we have the technology and science to solve climate problems. It's just the problem of how to get everyone on board, how to educate everyone. And so I feel like I was able to add some things to my toolkit to enable me to be that bridge.
Wow, beautiful. Well said. Yeah, we have the technology, but do we have the will, I guess, is the big question. And we'll see what happens at a COP28 this week. Not a lot of confidence there, but we can be hopeful, right? That's one of our jobs. Noemi, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, in addition to all those wonderful points that Jasmine and Alyssa made, I think, and in addition to that, like education portion that I got from the class, I was really thrilled to meet so many wonderful people and learn about so many amazing organizations, not just in Santa Barbara County, but outside of that as well. So I just, I think the people that I met, I was wonderful. Like I was so ecstatic to see at some food bank events, at some backyard bounty cleans. So just kind of making that connection all the way around, it's just, I think it was wonderful to see that in the community. And yeah, I learned about all the various ways that just one person can make a huge impact in the community. And Alyssa and my work with the Backyard Bounty program, we're hoping to just expand that all the way around.
Great, thank you. And I appreciate you bringing up the people aspect because, to me, that is another really wonderful part of it is just getting to know people that you might not ever have met before who share your same, goals and desires. Elan, how about you?
Yeah, there's already been so many beautiful things said, and I agree with all of it. I think one thing that you'll keep hearing emphasized is that no matter kind of where you're coming from, if you're someone who's really experienced with climate change science, if you're someone who just wants to get more involved or learn more about it, if you're more interested in the social side of it, you can get, all those people can get something out of the course. And for me, once again, I have a master's in environmental science and management. My job, my profession really works in the environmental field, really technically doing carbon footprinting work. And I was still really drawn to it just to get a refresher and new information on, effective communication strategies. And the cool thing about it, though, is kind of this new perspective that was mentioned. I mean, this idea that individual action is, and it's always going to be important, but community level action is really where things are especially needed right now. And one of the biggest takeaways for me was, also because doing the right thing can be so challenging, even for an educated environmentalist, we need to let go of this harsh judgment that we can often put on ourselves or others when we can't do the most environmentally conscientious action. And it's just such a beautiful message that came out of the course is that, and maybe this is obvious to some of y'all, but being harshly judgmental for ourselves, even for a really good reason, for example, trying to make climate change go away or mitigate it, still makes us less happy and less effective communicators and humans. So I think that's just a really beautiful thing you can get out of the course. As was already mentioned, exposure to a lot of cool ways to get involved in the community and to meet people that I wouldn't have met otherwise, and just getting re-inspired. It's been so cool to be working in the environmental space now for 7-8 years and to come to the Climate Stewards course and just get a whole refreshing, aspect and more inspiration out of it. So.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. Yeah, it's a community of practice, right? And we're all still in it. And we have an alumni organization too, that we stay connected to everybody afterwards. And that's part of the one of, you know, doing this with our alumni is part of the way that we stay connected and also showcase all of the talent that you've brought to the class. So the next thing we're going to talk about is a part of the class that is actually about 20% of it, which is a stewardship project, because that's designed to help launch you beyond the class into the type of activism that you're most interested in. And we have had so many amazing stewardship projects, and you're going to hear about a few of them now. So I'll start with you, Noemi, and if Alyssa, if you two want to tag team this since you worked on it together, that's fine too.
Yeah, great. I was just going to give credit to Alyssa as well, because we teamed up on this stewardship project to, our plan was to expand the food bank's Backyard Bounty program in the coming year. So for those that don't know about Backyard Bounty, it's a volunteer-led cleaning program of the food bank of Santa Barbara County, and it provides the food bank with fresh organic produce. So our volunteers go out to local farms, orchards, backyards, gardens, and we collect any excess produce that donors don't want or have too much of, and we redistribute that back out to our community. So our main goal was to increase the Backyard Bounty's capacity for edible food recovery. Alyssa, if you want to touch on how we aim to do that, you can.
Yeah, so our main two goals or ways of doing that are to transition to being volunteer-led, just to expand our capacity. You know, sometimes staff at the food bank can't get to everything, but we have some really dedicated volunteers right now, and we're hoping to build that base that will help us get to everything that we can. And then in addition to that, just increasing our outreach to past donors and potential new donors. We're always looking for more places that we can go and glean and take our volunteers and get some fresh and local produce for the food bank. Yeah, and just to add also, like, the benefit of the stewardship project, I mean, the Backyard Bounty program is something that me and Noemi work with, you know, every day. And so it was, otherwise this would probably just be something me and Noemi are working on together. So it was really awesome to be able to like share this plan and this work with our class and a whole group of people and get their feedback and see their response. They're really like supportive and just like inspiring response from them about the work we're doing. So yeah, it's been a really just like great reinvigorating way to do our work.
That's so cool. And so many of our participants have been, you know, and Jasmine is also in that category, have been staff at other nonprofits who are looking to find ways to, you know, deepen the work that they're doing, particularly around climate, or even to deepening the climate messaging, because as we know, it's connected to pretty much everything we're all doing. So just using the class to help find ways to make those connections in the messaging that they're already doing. So that's it's been another really great outcome of the class. We've had a lot of staff at museums and other nonprofits who have started new projects that they might not otherwise have done that brings climate into what they're already doing through the class. Ilan, I'll go to you next.
Yeah, so I've been in the technical weeds in the environmental world for a long time. And so I really wanted to get out of computer modeling and data collection and do something I love, which is working with people, sharing things I'm excited about. And so for me, it was all about environmental education for youth. And it was really cool. You know, whoever is running the course will be supportive of your stewardship project and making sure you get connected to resources if you haven't been able to figure that out. For me, I got to work really closely with Kathy and Rochelle. Rochelle also works at CEC. And we worked together to develop and co-lead an environmental youth workshop that covered eco-anxiety, healthy ways to cope with eco-anxiety, communication strategies, institutional level issues and policy, and actionable ways to get involved. And it was aimed at high schoolers primarily, but we also had some middle schoolers too. And there are 20 participants. We also got to involve several other alumni and some current students of the Climate Steward course. And it was beautiful. It was, for me, it was just such a cool experience to do something that I've been thinking about for years and to actually see it happen and then get to work with people who are much more experienced in the environmental education space, to learn from them, to collaborate with them. So it was a really positive experience. The workshop went off, it was very successful, and we're already brainstorming a second one. So I think it just goes to show how impactful the stewardship projects can be. These aren't, it's not like you're writing an academic paper that's going to sit on a shelf. These are things in our communities that are affecting real people. They're affecting you. Yeah, so that was my project. Cool experience.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been great to keep the connection going, working together on these workshops. And Jasmine, I saved you for last because you're going to tee up your project, which is a video that we are going to share that you did. We've had a few people do videos for their projects, and Jasmine's really stood out. So I'll let you tee it up.
Great. Am I introducing the video? Great. Okay. So my climate stewardship capstone project was essentially creating a Santa Barbara resource guide, which the video will go over more, but it centralizes resources that already exist in the community, and it now lives on the Heal the Ocean website for easy access, so people can bookmark it, and it takes them to all these different resources of volunteer opportunities, home improvement, that's environmental, and connecting it with different kinds of other nonprofits that already have these wonderful programs. Mine was definitely a think smarter, not harder moment. I asked the questions when I was brainstorming this project: how can I make something more efficient? What's needed in the community? What do I wish I had? And so that's how this idea came to fruition. And yeah, I do want to note, some people in my cohort were doing these groundbreaking things like attending city council meetings, attempting to change policy, making physical changes, gardening. So on the grand scheme of things, I felt like my webpage was a very small addition as a capstone project, but in the end, it's helped my work a lot. And it's been something that I can reference people to bookmark, and it will be something that's continually updated in a one-stop shop. So yeah.
For the CEC Capstone project, I put together an environmental resource guide specific to Santa Barbara. The categories my project best fit into was education / interpretation and program support. Many times, people want to get involved with environmentalism. However, they don't always know where to start or what resources are available. For example, if they want to report an injured animal, who do they contact? If they want to volunteer locally, where or who should they reach out to? Furthermore, in my job at Heal the Ocean, I regularly receive many calls about these various topics, and I typically reroute them to the appropriate agency or organization. Therefore, it inspired me to create a compiled resource guide local to Santa Barbara. The goal of this project is to create a compilation of local environmentally focused resources that residents can refer to easily. To complete this project, I first reached out to my organization's executive director to ask if this resource guide could be an addition to our website. Although it is on my work's website, I clarified that this work is volunteered. I specifically wanted this to be on the website page because it increases accessibility. It would allow anyone to access this information anywhere as long as they have internet access, which most people have in Santa Barbara. Furthermore, this way on my own time, I have access to be able to continually edit and update the page. Currently, the page is all set up. It has different categories. For example, there's food-related resources, a list of resources for different local recycling facilities, links to state and local council meetings, volunteer opportunities, and more. While putting together this resource guide, I learned that while there are many website pages that provide resources for environmentalism in general, I didn't come across any resource guides that were specific to Santa Barbara. Putting together this guide, I learned that there are way more resources in Santa Barbara than I thought. Did you know that you can rent camping gear, paddle boards, e-bikes, state park passes, and fishing poles from the Santa Barbara Public Library? Yeah, me neither. Or that there's different facilities you can reach out to if you want to recycle styrofoam versus beanbag beans versus packing peanuts, and etc. For this guide, I reached out to a few organizations in order to receive more information about their existing programs. I realized that without meaning to, it became a collaborative guide where I can connect people to other organizations. Therefore, this project is mutually beneficial. Santa Barbara residents can get connected to resources, and other organizations receive exposure for their programs. It's not reinventing the wheel, but rather utilizing the amazing resources we currently have, and it emphasizes collaboration. The site has only been up for a few weeks, but I have been able to guide several people to it and have encouraged them to bookmark the page for future reference. For example, one individual called Heal the Ocean in order to report a dead dolphin that washed ashore onto Rincon Beach. Heal the Ocean doesn't work on rescuing wildlife. However, I was able to guide the individual to the new resource webpage and guide them to the wildlife reporting/care section where they can call Santa Barbara Wildlife Care Network. Going forward, since the webpage will now permanently live on Heal the Ocean's website, I plan to continuously update the guide on my own time. My next step will also be to share this guide with local organizations and businesses for further reach. I hope that by creating this resource guide, I can reach out to organizations in other regions and encourage them to put together resource guides for their community as well. My project isn't groundbreaking, nor is it changing or passing new policy, but I hope to engage more Santa Barbara residents and ensure that my project makes it easier and more accessible to information that can get people involved with environmental efforts, whether it's on an individual level or on a collaborative level.
Thank you so much. Really fun to watch. And it's been kind of a common theme in the class. We've had other people who have had the desire to do that. They didn't go quite as far as Jasmine did with it and find a host site for it. So it's great that we now have that in Santa Barbara. And we had another participant earlier this year in the spring who was from the Los Angeles area, and they created one similar there. So if you're joining us from Los Angeles, we can include that link in our in the email that we're going to send out to you afterward. So it's great that these resources are being built, because clearly there was a need for them. So, and my computer went to sleep. Well, oh, there we go. My computer went to sleep during the video, but it woke back up. So we have one more question for this round, and it is: how does climate affect your work, and how does being a climate steward contribute to that work? So let's start with Alyssa.
Yeah, so as a California Climate Action Corps fellow, climate is obviously central to my work. It's right in the name, but I think that working with the food bank gives me a really unique opportunity to work with climate where it intersects with social equity and building community and things like that. And I mean, the Backyard Bounty program, its goal is to reduce climate impacts, reduce methane emissions by recovering food and keeping it from the landfills, and at the same time providing local and fresh food to our community. But I think one of the most powerful things about it is that at the same time we're engaging volunteers, we're getting them outside, we're taking them to places where they probably wouldn't ever get to go to harvest fruit. It's engaging them in the issues of food insecurity and food waste in such like a tangible and active way. And my hope is just that also gets people thinking about climate change in their community, climate work in their community, and their role in supporting that and supporting community resilience.
Perfect. Thank you. And you're getting people out in nature, right? Which is another key component of the goals of the class is to deepen that love for nature that most of us already have. Ilan, how about you?
Yeah, so in my actual profession, my day job, where once again I do a lot of technical work, I'd say the biggest thing that the Climate Steward course has really helped me gain is just even better communication skills. I mean, one of the cool things about this class, once again, is that, you know, obviously it's focused on climate change, but a lot of these skills will make you better at doing a lot of things. And I'd say being better communicators, being better listeners, being less judgmental, more empathetic, these are skills that will help us in all aspects of our life and in all kinds of relationships, whether it's climate related or not. So I think that's definitely been in my main job. But outside of it, I mean, I'd say what I'm even more excited about is that being a climate steward has helped me get involved outside of my main profession in other creative ways. So it's helped give me a sense of purpose and meaning by doing environmental education with high schoolers, right? Connecting with Kathy and Rochelle at CEC. It's introduced me to others I wouldn't have otherwise met. I mean, once again, I know Kathy and Rochelle so much better, and I wouldn't know them that well if I hadn't gone to this course. And as I already mentioned, it's kind of made me just an even better person. So maybe it sounds a little cliche, but yeah, those are the ways it's affected me. So
it's beautiful. Thank you. Jasmine, how about you?
All right. Since I work in the environmental and nonprofit conservation sector, the knowledge I gained from the course was really great. Tagging off of Ilan, becoming a more conscious communicator was very important to me. For my work, I write the e-letters, marketing materials, socials. So just keeping in mind to be more climate positive than doom and gloom definitely stuck with me, and how much more of a positive impact and a positive message that can be. And the better people will react to it. But it's also helped me stay positive as well, I'd like to add. Secondly, I really love this term I learned in the class. It's called cursive knowledge. And it's essentially, the term means that you assume that everyone around you has the same knowledge level of certain topics, even when maybe in reality they don't. And so it, for me, helps me understand that not everyone in Santa Barbara knows what domoic acid is and how it affects marine life, or the long-standing problem with oil in Santa Barbara. And so it is a reminder to myself that I can break this down and communicate it better to the lay person and general audience. So these are just some tools in my toolkit that have been added.
That's great. Thank you. And I like the emphasis. Everyone's giving the emphasis on the positive side. And that is why this class aligns so well with CEC, because we are a solutions-based organization. And so, the focus with the class and with our work is about the solutions. And, you mentioned doom and gloom. And I love that saying that if doom and gloom were going to work as a effective climate strategy, it would have worked by now. So I think we're much better off dealing with, emphasizing the solutions and the positive aspects of what we can all do together. And Noemi, how about you?
Yeah, so climate affects my work in the most literal way. Just speaking off this year alone, we had a lot of showers and rain in early spring of this year, so that really affected the way that a lot of produce was ripening and producing, and it kind of really pushed a lot of produce to ripen like by months, weeks. So it's really affected our ability to go out to orchards and backyards and harvest all the fruit from people's backyards. I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's the most literal way that it affects my work. The way that being a climate steward has contributed to what I'm doing right now is, as I mentioned, I work with I work at the Food Bank of Santa Barbara County. And while our main focus is to end hunger and transform the health of Santa Barbara through good nutrition, we also prioritize environmental sustainability. So, as I've mentioned, Backyard Bounty is one of those larger sustainability initiatives that we have, but as well as our Backyard Bounty or our grocery rescue program, where food bank staff and volunteers go out to local grocery stores and gather any donations that they have, rather than throwing it into the trash and creating more waste. We're able to bring it back to the food bank and kind of sift through the stuff, properly compost. And if it's still good and in good condition, we redistribute that back out to the community. So our grocery rescue program and our Backyard Bounty program both play a really integral part in eliminating food waste in the county.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you all for those really robust responses to the questions. We have a few questions coming in, and if you have a question, now's the time to add it into the Q&A. But I thought I'd do a little quick kind of round robin little lightning round, since we have a few minutes, with our panelists while they're all warmed up, to just throw out a question about the practicalities of the class. Like, this is, a college level class, and you're all working. So how did that fit into your schedule, and what were any challenges that you experienced while trying to do all the coursework and come to the field trips and class sessions and have your regular life as well? I'll open up to anyone.
I can start. I mean, like Kathy mentioned, this is a lot of work. It is like a college level class, and working full time, and then also working during the food bank's busiest time of the year, which is, we're slowly approaching the holidays. It's here already. And I am very fortunate to say that with the food bank, they were very flexible. So I was able to, work on my classwork, complete any tests, any additional stuff related to the class during work, had I completed all my tasks for the day. So, I was able to squeeze it in and still work while I was still taking the class. So, I mean, I'm very glad that I was offered that flexibility to take this class, because it is a lot of work, but it's very important work. So,
thank you. That's great to hear. That's really nice that you had that support. Anyone else?
Sure, I'll jump in. Yeah, it might sound a little obvious, but especially, with the busy schedule that we already have, I think making sure you kind of check out what the course load is going to be like for each kind of module. The course is broken up into different sections. Some involve more work, some involve less, some you might be more familiar with. So just, I think, getting a head start on stuff. And once you kind of know, like, oh man, there's a lot of readings, in this section, just trying to break it up so you don't leave it for 2 days before the course, then realize, like, oh my God, I'm going to have to work like an extra 4 or 5 hours, 2 days in a row. And that can be a lot, especially if it's over your weekend. So I think just, stay ahead of the curve, kind of take a look ahead to see how much you have to do, and then just break it up into little bite-sized pieces. And then, the cool thing about the course is that, we all want to do a good job. Your instructors want you to participate, but almost every single member of my cohort, including myself, at one point fell behind, and we all caught up, so you just communicate your needs, you do what you got to do, but it's not like you're going to get kicked out of the course, and you're going to get shamed or anything like that. So keep that in mind too. You can take a little pressure off yourself when you need to.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's all pass fail, which also makes it easier. There's no competition for grades. And we do build in some prep weeks, to your point about sometimes the work gets a little heavier than others. And we try to balance that with having weeks that we don't have class sessions, so that hopefully that gives you extra time to prepare. And we are able, it's not through an educational institution that has deadlines. So we are able to also help those who need extra time to catch up. So thanks for bringing that up. How about you, Alyssa or Jasmine?
Yeah, I was just going to echo a similar sentiment that it is a college level course, and you are going to be like working through some academic stuff and completing assignments and stuff, but it's such a supportive environment that you're in while you're doing it. You know, it never felt like the stakes were like too high. And flexibility with field trips, with everything. So, I mean, I would say if you're worried about it being too hard or something, don't worry about it, because even if it's, you know, challenging at times, you're in a place where you get the support you need.
Yeah, I'd like to add on to that too. Definitely working a rigid 9 to 5, most of the course load I did on the weekends, and then I trickle into my evenings. But with enough time management, it was fine. We all do fall behind sometimes, but we're definitely given flexibilities with the prep week, and the instructors and people running the course have a lot of grace and understand we all have busy lives. I'd also like to add on, I really looked forward to when we did have the weekly classes where we're all on Zoom and we do breakout sessions, and you just get to, you know, just talk and brainstorm with people in your community. And to me, that was really fulfilling to get to connect more with people in small groups. And then we'd have these field trips, and that was great too. So overall, great experience.
Thank you. Yeah, that reminds me that we haven't really covered that the class work is asynchronous. So you have time on your own to do the different units for each session. And that's on the Canvas platform. So they make it pretty easy to read the work and do the assignments. It's not really that daunting. So thank you all for helping us broaden out what it really means to do the class. So now I'm going to look in the Q&A and see what people are asking, and maybe you all might call on you all to help provide some answers depending on what the questions are. So someone's asking about more detailed information on the trainings. Yes, registration, I believe, is open now. I think Jillian got that all set up today. So when we close, we'll be giving you the link to how to get to the excuse me, to get to the registration. How different is the class load from the California Naturalist course from Christy? Great question. They're both designed as 40-hour certification courses. So I think it's pretty similar because it's basically kind of a sister course to CalNat, from what I understand. Can this course help me qualify for employment to re-enter the workforce? That's a great question. Maybe I'll open it out to you all. I mean, a lot of people, as I mentioned before, from local nonprofits have used this class for professional development. Does anyone have a thought about how, you know, this course might help prepare someone for employment in the climate space?
I would say totally, because for me especially, I feel like it connected me with the community, and assuming you're taking this course because you're passionate about the environment, now all of a sudden you have this huge network of other people who are also passionate about the environment. So for me, it definitely connected me more with like-minded individuals, and with that, I think might come opportunity. So that would be my 2 cents.
Excellent, thanks. Anyone else?
I think also, like, as someone who doesn't have a degree in something that's directly environmentally related, it's a great thing to be able to put on your resume to say, like, I have been formally educated in some way about these topics.
Great, yeah, you get a pin and a certificate when you graduate. And I know some of you just finished, and I think that those are on their way to you. So it takes us a few weeks to get that together. But yeah, you do get something to brag about when you take the class. So that was a great question. Looking through for other questions that people had. I think this is for you, Noemi. Pat asked, I've been connecting with various food share pantries with animal owners who participate in salvaging nutrients for their animals. Ventura County's main food share site partners with a pig farmer, and satellite pantries can connect with chicken poultry owners. Do you know if there's anything like that here? It might be not something that you're aware of, but just thought I'd give you that question.
I know that at the food bank we do, while it's not like a long-standing partnership, we do have some people that come in every once in a while and pick up the one-off produce that we get from like grocery rescue. Maybe we get a really small amount of a certain produce that we can't distribute to everybody of that same amount. So they'll pick up like those random produce and they take it back to their pig farm. So that's one way that, you know, they feed their animals. We kind of don't get to waste that produce. And I know that at some of our volunteering events, more specifically like pre-packs, where volunteers package produce items into like plastic bags to distribute to the community, we go through the condition of the items, and if they're, you know, not in a condition that is able to be distributed, then we'll compost that. And I know that some of the volunteers have, you know, specific animals that they like to save some of that bad produce and, you know, take it to their bunnies, take it to their horses. So they're kind of helping us, you know, not just compost it, but help feed their animals, redistribute that food out, not just to members of the community, but pets of the community as well.
That's great to know. I'm glad that that question was asked and you had a great answer. So thanks. There's a question on capstone projects from Lonnie about examples of projects that were tech or hardware focused, like around carbon sequestration, home biochar, or involvement in direct air capture technology. And I'm not really thinking of any. I think we had an engineer take the class from SLO. I don't know if he was in any of your cohorts. I don't think so. Who was re-engineering a bike to make it electric. But I don't remember, I can't think of anything that was that highly technical, but it's not out of the realm if you have the, you know, resources to do that. And also just in line with that question, which is a great question, is that these projects don't need to be finished by the end of the class. Really, your final presentation at the last class session is about, here's the roadmap to what I'm going to do. So if you come up with an idea about something, whether it's technical or some of like what you've heard from this group, it's really just the beginning for you. Okay, I think we've, oh wait, more questions came in while we were talking. So let's see, someone's asking for the cost. It's $300 for the next session, and we do have a scholarship program. The next cohort, when that will begin following the completion of winter, will probably start around mid-April for our spring, and then we usually start the second week of September for our fall. We're trying to do it 3 times a year right now. Christy's asking, possible to take the course. Yeah, we have had people take the course who weren't in the area. We had someone from Idaho take it once, but she also had a home here. So she came here for some of the field trips as a planned vacation. So we do, and she's asking about advance notice for the field trips. The syllabus is up now, and we have most of our field trips already lined out in the syllabus, so that can help you plan for when you're going to be here. And we don't require that everybody come to every field trip. Obviously, we would love that if people are able to, but we understand that you're busy. So our course requirement is to attend at least 2 of the field trips. Oh wait, I think another question might have come in just then. How long is the course, Richard? It's about 9 weeks. So the next one starts January 31st, and it will end March 27th. So it's about 9 weeks, but like we mentioned earlier, we build in a couple of weeks for preparation. So it's not every single Wednesday. I think it's seven Wednesday evening sessions total. So I think that's it for the questions, I think. If we didn't get to your question, we'll try to answer it when we send out the follow-up email. So I want to thank you all again for participating, and I'm going to run through some closing items here before we end for the evening. We've touched on this a little bit tonight about eco-anxiety and how to channel that, because a lot of us are feeling have some emotions around climate change, and we have found this book. Actually, Sarah Mae Nelson, who's the program lead at UC A&R, told us about this book, Field Guide to Climate Anxiety. Highly recommend this book. There's a lot of great advice. It's written by an environmental studies professor at Humboldt University. She was trying to deal with the way her students were feeling about climate change. So it's very, very practical. And we recommend this in our course syllabus as well. We also recommend checking out the Climate Mental Health Network. There's a lot of resources there about dealing with eco-anxiety. They have a great short 3-minute film. And we shared that when we discussed this with our youth at the youth workshop. So for those of you who might be interested in becoming a climate steward, our next course starts January 31st. You can visit the link on this slide here or scan the QR code for more information and to register. And registration, like I said, is open. Here is contact information for all of us here tonight. We'll be pulling up that slide shortly. If you'd like to reach out to any of us directly, here's that. And this will also be in the follow-up email. And thanks to all our participants for being willing to share their contact information. So now we're going to do another poll to kind of check in on what you got out of the evening and your biggest, and while you're doing that, when you finish the poll, you could also add to the chat what your biggest takeaway was from today. So while you're filling out the poll, I'm going to do a round of thanks. Thank you, Alyssa, Elan, Jasmine, and Noemi for sharing your experiences with us tonight. It was great to see you as always, and really nice to chat. A big thanks to our production team, Tia, Rochelle, Jillian, Nicole, and Katie for making this and all of our CEC webinars so successful. And thank you to all of you for attending our webinar and learning about the work of these incredible climate stewards. We have many alumni here with us tonight that joined the webinar, so it was great to have you with us, and also really great to have people who had expressed interest previously join us. So I hope that this has answered a lot of your questions and gave you some insights. And if you want any more information, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. A huge thank you to our 2023 webinar sponsors, the City of Santa Barbara Clean Energy, and our friends at the Santa Barbara Independent. Free events like this are just one of the ways the Community Environmental Council works to advance rapid and equitable solutions to the climate crisis. And events like this are only made possible because of donations from people like you. You can visit the QR code on the screen or CECSB.org/donate. As you consider your yearly investments, no matter what the amount, we hope you'll consider a gift to our work. CEC's Environmental Hub, right in the heart of downtown Santa Barbara, has been open since July, and we are booking a lot of meetings and events. If you're interested in learning more, we have a special section on our website with all the details. I think someone's putting that in the chat now, and you can also reach out to me about that. The follow-up email that I mentioned will include upcoming events and opportunities like our first ever climate activist training next Thursday. It will be held both in person at CEC's Environmental Hub and streamed online via Zoom, and it's offered in both English and Spanish, both in person and on Zoom. So you can learn how to participate in your local government meetings at this event. And I think we're putting the link to that in the chat now. And also please mark your calendar for January 25th at 6 o'clock, also at the Hub. The national organization Climate Protection and Restoration Initiative is bringing their roadshow to Santa Barbara, and CEC is co-hosting this public hearing focused on climate action needed at the federal level. Several local experts will testify, and you can make your voice heard too. So we'll be sending out more details about that as it gets closer. And you can find out information on all of CEC's events, including future webinars, at our events page at cec.org/events. If you're looking for even more ways to take climate action, from taking political action to getting step-by-step guidance on how to access incentives for an electric vehicle purchase, visit the Take Action link that we are sharing in right now. There it is. Thank you all again for tuning in to our CEC webinar series. If you haven't already, please sign up for our newsletter and engage with us on your favorite social media channels. And this brings our webinar to a close. We will leave this slide up for a few moments in case you'd like to jot anything down. And we'll also include this and all the resources that we shared today in that follow-up email. We hope you have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a great night. Thanks.